Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are MC.
Game number 162 marks the end of the Major League regular season, unless the Royals and Tigers tie for the division lead, and that can happen today. Royals baseball is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, and it's a beautiful day outdoors on the south side of Chicago as the Royals play game number 162 against the Chicago White Sox. Hi everyone, welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joel Goldberg is coming up. Well, Yordano Ventura is going to pitch today. We'll get to him in just a moment. We don't know if this is going to be the last regular season game or not. Some of that will be decided here in Chicago, and the other part will be decided in Detroit.
It will. Yeah, Tigers got an early lead so far in this one today, but coming down to the last day of the season, Ryan, it's as exciting as baseball can be. I mean, even better than opening day because a lot is at stake here.
Ian Kinsler has homered for the Tigers, so they have a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the third inning. David Price is pitching for the Tigers. The A's will be at the Rangers later today. The Mariners need a win. The A's need to lose for a one-game playoff for that final wild card spot. So it isn't just another game today. It's not just one of 162. This is it. The Royals are trying to end up in Detroit tomorrow. And Yordano Ventura, while most people thought he would make the starting rotation, for all intents and purposes, he was competing in spring training and now pitching in one of the most important games of the season.
Certainly one of the league's greatest rookies and also the Royals' best rookie, one of them. He's been solid. He's in the top category in all the rookie categories. But still, what's been making him special is his stuff. Obviously, he throws 100 miles an hour, but that curveball and changeup are well developed for him. He's really shown that he's got some tenacity. He's intense. He's a very good competitor, and the team loves him.
Well, the Royals are headed to the postseason. We know that. Where that will begin, we do not know. But the answer to that question will come today.
next few weeks. Joel Goldberg back at Chicago U.S. Cellular Field. We will be back at Kauffman Stadium soon. The question is when. Ned Yost does say that, hey, they missed a big opportunity last night. They could have gone into today tied for first place. With that said, they still have a chance to win the division.
It's going to be a fun day. It's going to be an interesting day. I think it's a great day for baseball when you got 3 races that could, quite frankly, go down to a game 163. I think that's going to be exciting.
Well, the crowd here is ready for the final appearance by Paul Konerko. The Royals are ready for the final regular season start of Giordano Ventura. First pitch is next.
By the Missouri Lottery, try the new Lucky Sevens playbook. And by AT&T Uverse. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT, mobilizing your world. It's a big day for sports in Chicago. The Bears are hosting their biggest rival, the Packers. And inside U.S. Cellular Field, the White Sox regular season comes to a close. The Royals keeping an eye on that scoreboard as they need a win. Minnesota needs to defeat Detroit, and Minnesota has blown out Detroit the last 2 games. The Tigers lead 1-0 early in Detroit. Let's take a Mazda game break. And this is Ian Kinsler. He's had a big first year with the Tigers, coming over from the Rangers, the former MU Tiger. Homers to put Detroit in front 1-0. And for the last time in White Sox history, Paul Konerko takes the field. That's what the big ovation is for. Here's the Royals lineup presented by your Midwest Ford dealers. Same lineup for Ned Yost the entire 4-game series, and after making the changes to the top of the order, that has really panned out. The Royals' hottest hitters right now are Alcides Escobar, Nori Aoki, and Lorenzo Cain.
But you want to know who's going to drive the bus today? Just flip a coin. Anyone could, 1 through 9. had his day yesterday. Paulie Konerko, he didn't get the hits. Today, you know, he's hungry at least to get a hit for the home crowd. Chris Bassett. This young man is a pretty good pitcher. Last outing, he held the Tigers scoreless for 7 2/3 innings. It's not bad. He's got 4 nice pitches he'll use. Garcia at shortstop for the 3rd time this year. Giving their guy a break. Alexi Ramirez is not playing. Neither is Abreu, their big bat, so that's going to help.
Ted Barrett, the crew chief, will call the balls and strikes with Chris Conroy at first, Rob Drake at second, and Alfonso Marquez at third. Konerko had been playing a tribute video to him, which he had a role in producing, very similar to that touching Derek Jeter Gatorade commercial. Paul Konerko had a say in what his final video would look like, and the fans just saw it, and now we're ready for the game. And Bassett's first pitch is a strike to Alcides Escobar, who has hit in 8 straight. This is game number 162 for Escobar. He is the first shortstop in the big leagues since 2007 to start in all 162 games.
Certainly a proud accomplishment, no doubt. That position very demanding. What the Royals offense is going to be seeing from Chris Bassett. A sinking fastball at 90 to 93 miles an hour. He cuts that fastball. A couple different speeds to his curve. He's got a little slider and a changeup. They're mainly sinker sliders.
He's big, 6'5", 210 pounds. Not really a big prospect early in his career. He was a 16th round draft pick, but has developed in the minor leagues, and as is the case for a lot of young pitchers, once he started throwing strikes consistently, his prospect status elevated. Out of the University of Akron, which is also the alma mater of our Royals Live producer Brian Shapiro. The University of Akron Zips. Escobar fair down into the left field corner. He has a 9-game hitting streak, and the Royals begin the game with a runner at second base.
34th double. He'll take it. Reaching out. Bassett trying an off-speed pitch, and when the hitter gets out in front of that pitch, that little off-speed, he's going to just stick it down the line. He stayed with it. That's a good bend. Basically just one-handed that ball to left. Great start. Nori Aoki, he knows the fundamental game here and what to do. Situation, every time a hitter comes to the plate, presents some kind of situation. With the runner at second, you want to move him over to third base with nobody out. He knows that. He can do it in a variety of ways. Ned Yost hopes he swings the bat because he's been a run producer since the second half of the season.
Right into Konerko's glove.
I don't know why he would bunt. Just gave an out away. Swing the baby. I understand, you know, he wants to try to do little things, but first of all, you got to get the ball down. You got to keep that barrel above the hands. Get that ball down. He knows that. He just missed. Watch where the barrel is. See how it's going to dip. Bat head dips a little bit. You get it on top. The only direction the ball will go is up.
Lorenzo Cain has a 9-game hitting streak. He has 6 hits in the first 3 games of the White Sox. And he chops it out to Sanchez. He made one of the best plays we've seen all year last year on a double play. That gets Escobar to third, but they're 2 down.
I agree with you. play last night was spectacular. You know, late into the base, but watch how he used his foot. This is what's impressive, how he used his foot to jump off the base to get leverage. Bare hands, that's good focus, but you got to get something on the ball, and he did that by jumping high up in the air and staying on top of his throw.
And that double play was hit by Eric Hosmer, who bats now with a runner at third, 2 down. Breaking ball down and away, ball 1.
Well, the White Sox haven't had a lot of success against the Royals this season, but last night, that play there that the young man made, Sanchez at second base there, they outplayed him. That helped him stay in the game. They outpitched him, at least from the starting standpoint, and they got some timely hits. So the Royals did not beat themselves last night. They got beat by the White Sox.
Two. Something you really can't explain this year, but we're talking about 161 now into 162 games. The Royals just played a lot better on the road. Eric Hosmer, second best hitter on the road. Only Victor Martinez has done better. The Royals are tied with the Angels. They're at Seattle today with the best road record in the American League. Royals have the best ERA in the American League as Sanchez makes another good play to get Eric Hosmer. Well, the Royals begin the inning with a double. Escobar is stranded, and now Yordano Ventura. Ventura goes for his 15th win today. That's the most wins for a Royals rookie since Tom Gordon had 17 25 years ago. He is 14-10 this year and 1-1 against the Chicago White Sox, and it's been a long time since he has been hurt by the home run.
Oh yeah, I like that. Little comment right there. No home runs allowed last 64. That's keeping the ball in the yard. With that kind of stuff, if you miss out over the middle, they'll get you. But without their big slugger today, I like his chances of keeping that consecutive home run innings down. No Alexi Ramirez either, we mentioned earlier. Three great pitches. Above average fastball, I would say above average curve and above average changeup. For 23 years old, well developed. Free and easy. A prize for the organization.
Two and one on Adam Eaton. .296 hitter, which is 10th in the league. How about that? The 10th best hitter in the American League is hitting under 300. And he slaps it by Moustakas. 296 overall, but 342 against the Royals. Adam Eaton.
You like it. How could you not? This guy gives you everything he's got every day. Short to the ball, makes contact, puts it in play. He's a perfect leadoff hitter. Hustles, runs hard, pressures defenses, everything you want. Pretty good center fielder. He's learning. Still learning. Jumps on balls out there. He's got a good arm.
Marcus Semien bats second with Alexei Ramirez out of the lineup. He is playing at third base. 5 home runs this year. And he has a home run against Giordano Ventura. Left center, and Lorenzo Cain will come up to make the play. 1 out.
Royals defense has been spectacular at times, and they are really good at saving runs. Same defensive alignment for the 8th straight game for Ned. It's not broke, don't fix it. Late in the game, the Royals have the lead. We'll see Dyson out there. Ned's been doing that all year as well.
Avisail Garcia instead of Jose Abreu batting third today. Royals will take it. I wonder what Brad Ausmus thought if he saw the White Sox lineup today with no Jose Abreu, no Alexei Ramirez. I think the Chicago Bears must have just done something, because a spontaneous round of applause just broke out. No balls, 2 strikes.
Ventura, with all that power, he pitches up in the zone. Guys foul a lot of his pitches off at times, but he's a fly ball pitcher basically. But he will induce a ground ball double play occasionally. He has induced 13 on the season this year. Some pretty trusty hands out there.
Told that those were Packer fans. How dare them? The Packers just scored. Packers are here in Chicago, and I guess the ovation would have been a little bit louder if it was for the Bears. 2-2 on Garcia.
Ventura certainly has the pitches to be a strikeout pitcher. Coming in, he's got 153 and 179 innings. But he also has 68 walks, so he is prone to the walk. It's a little bit out of command at times. His shoulder flies open sometimes, leaves that ball up.
Eaton runs, and that was a good call. Garcia's out, so no chance for a force at second base. And that brings up Paul Konerko. When he took the field, wanted to honor his children, so he etched in the dirt the names of his sons Nick and Owen. This is Owen throwing out the first pitch last night. His daughter Amelia. And I really feel right now for Eric Hosmer, because Eric Hosmer has the assignment of guarding the right side, and he's trying very carefully to play his position but not step on Konerko's kids' names. He's looked down at his feet about 3 times to make sure he's not disgracing what Konerko has done with the dirt.
That's courtesy.
1-1. Only Frank Thomas has more home runs and RBIs in White Sox history. Nobody has more RBIs against the Royals in history. Paul Konerko has driven in 150 runs against KC.
Well, we all remember what Derek Jeter did on his final day in Yankee Stadium with a walk-off win. Before the series started, I asked Paul Konerko, and it was the day after, and I said, Paulie, do you have something like that in store for your fans? And he goes, no, I already told my team, make sure we get big leads. Don't count on me. Very humble guy.
Fouls it away, still 0-2. We talked about it last night. Paul Konerko was a first-round pick of the Dodgers out of Arizona. He's from Scottsdale and had one of the best AAA seasons you will ever see. And he was a very young player in AAA, but he was blocked at several positions in the big leagues. He was first a catcher. The Dodgers had Mike Piazza while Konerko was in the minor leagues. They had Todd Zeile, who was making a lot of money to play third base for the Dodgers, and they had Eric Karros at first. So there was no room for Paul Konerko. He ended up with the Reds. That didn't last very long. And then came to the White Sox in 1999. And Ventura strikes him out, and that puts an end to the first inning. Still both teams get a leadoff hit. Both teams are scoreless as we go to the second. Friday. Well, make sure you don't miss out on any of the Royals 2015 season. You can reserve your season tickets and grab those must-have seats to watch the Royals next year. And for more information on how you can make a deposit, go to Royals.com/tickets.
Love how creative the fans have been down the stretch in September with their signs and "Yes, we can." I just love that last sign we saw. Fans deserve it.
Big curveball in for a strike to Billy Butler. Ten RBIs this year against the White Sox. He has 2 in this series. 3 years ago, he had 16 RBIs against the White Sox. Breaking ball is low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's got a couple of different speeds for his curveball he'll use. That first one he threw to Billy was a get me over curve. He's got one a little bit slower.
And that's lined up the right field line. Billy Butler on his way to second base. It's the second straight inning. The Royals have had a leadoff double.
That's Billy Butler. Waiting for his pitch, especially on the off speed, hitting it to right field. That's just what you teach a young hitter, how to hit a breaking ball. Could have been a two-seamer. Anyway, it looked like he was sitting to go to right field the whole way, and he got it. See if they can get it right this time. The fact that Aoki bunted a line drive to the first baseman Konerko in that last inning, that hurt him. Couldn't get the run home. Alex knows the situation here. Pull that ball to the right side if you can.
Breaking ball strike. Alex not sure. Thinking that Ted Barrett's strike zone might be a little too wide. Right field, well hit, and off the top of the wall. Alex on his way to second. Billy Butler had to make sure it wasn't caught, so he only goes to third. Garcia, I think, sold the play in right field, and Billy thought maybe he would catch it, but it was well over his head and off the padded wall.
You're right. Nobody out like that. You're not sure. The way the ball was hit, it looked like it had enough to sneak over the wall, just a foot shy. But Alex doing his job for sure. Got a cookie down the middle. A little rock back in his swing. Got his hands going through the zone. He stepped all over that. Garcia, he played it pretty well. Billy, see him. He's turning right as Avisail turned. Slide second and third. Salvi can hopefully be selected and look for his pitch and drive him home. See him up in the zone. Any kind of contact is going to score a run here. Unless it's back to the pitcher.
Billy's going to tag. Eaton takes charge. And Eaton to the plate. It's offline, and the Royals take the lead. Salvador Perez drives in his 70th.
Okay, third base coach Mike Jerschley has a decision to make on a ball that's hit good enough to score most runners, but Billy not blessed with the kind of speed that the rest of his teammates have. Eaton has a pretty good arm out there. He's thrown out 9 runners. He's got a good arm, but he was offline, and that's a good thing. So good call by Jersch. Billy being aggressive. Score him while you can.
And that was a good call by Eaton to take charge. That's an easier throw from there for Eaton, who is a left-hand thrower, than it is for Danks, who is a right-hand thrower. Danks would have had to have gone into a full pivot to line himself up with the plate. And now Infante hits it hard to left field, and Danks runs it down. Well, the Royals were right on Bassett in this inning. 2 down with Alex at second base.
Danks, he made that play fairly easily because of how deep he was. He wasn't shallow at all. He was playing deep already. When Infante hit that ball hard, he only had to take a few steps back. So he played him perfectly.
Moustakas has done well against the White Sox this year. He's hit over 300 against them, and he's 3 for 10 in this series. Drove in a run late in the game last night. Moustakas drove in Gordon, who he's trying to
drive in here in the 9th inning last night to make it a 1-run game, and the White Sox hung on to win 5-4. One ball, one strike.
Bassett faced the Royals a few starts ago. Just went 3 2/3. Give up 6 hits, 3 runs in Kansas City. So they've seen it. Moose is 1 for 2 off.
Remember anything else about that game? Not that you're expected to, but what if I told you 4 hours and 16 minutes?
Oh, that's right.
15 pitchers, 9 used by the Royals.
Oh, that game.
So Bassett went 3 2/3 innings, and that was just a sliver of that night. Good movement on that pitch, and it's 2-2. White Sox ended up winning that game in 9 innings, 7-5, 4 hours and 16 minutes, the longest 9-inning game in Royals history. First time the Royals have used 9 pitchers in a game. It was easy to forget that Bassett was even in that game.
Moose's last few hits, he's been able to beat the shift over the shift. He's been lobbing that ball right over the second baseman's head, who's playing a little bit deep second base on the grass there, and just dropping it in front of the right fielder. Garcia, who has 4 outfield assists this year, he's got a good arm.
Full count. In Detroit, they have now played 5 innings, and the Tigers have a 1-0 lead. Ian Kinsler, the former MU Tiger, has driven in Detroit's run with a solo home run. David Price is pitching for Detroit. Fair ball. Mike Moustakas gives the Royals a 2-0 lead. That's the second straight at bat for him that he's driven in Alex Gordon.
Moose picking him up with his 21st double. Off-speed pitches seem like they're getting hit. He's able to recognize that little slider. Looked like he could have been a cutter right there, right over the middle.
Royals have 4 hits, and all 4 hits are doubles. Alcides Escobar had the first. He opened the game with a double up the left field line. He got to 3rd in the inning, but did not score. In this inning, Billy Butler and Alex Gordon opened with doubles, and then the Moustakas double got in one of the runs, the other with a sac fly. 0-2.
The Royals have 9 players with 20 doubles or more in their lineup. So they may not hit home runs. There's different ways to score runs besides putting them over the board, but they certainly get it done. They find the doubles. They got good speed. They force doubles. They hit clean doubles.
Grounded to 3rd. Semien will play it to 1st, and that's the inning. 3 doubles, 2 runs. Giordano Ventura has an early lead. Billy Butler opened the inning with a double. Alex Gordon just missed a home run for his double. And Mike Moustakas doubled in one of the 2 runs.
Opponents. So we're going to have to get this figured out quick, or we're going to be in trouble.
Well, even in the darkest days of Ned Yost's tenure as Royals manager, very rarely would he use that tone. Learned from his mentor Bobby Cox to talk positively about his players and the team in public, and if there's any criticism to be done, to do it in private. And while that was hardly calling out his team or being ultra critical or ultra negative or anything like that, that was very un-Ned Yost like. And it was the very next day when the turnaround began in Toronto.
All of a sudden, Ned's teammates, or the players out there that play for him, stepped up. May 29th. At Toronto, a place where it's very difficult to get wins. Late in the game. Matter of fact, this out is over. The Royals continue their losing streak. But no, there's life. Dyson ends up scoring. Royals come back 8-6, and that's when it all started to propel Ned Yost's ball club to first place. Amazing how baseball can turn. Talk about the peaks and valleys, and you know Ned Yost has taken a lot of heat in his 5 years. He's had a difficult time. You know, he gets blamed for the losses, but when your team wins, you got to give him credit. He's kept them together. Stayed positive with it. That moment that we just saw, that was one of the most down times that I've seen Ned Yost. You mentioned it, Ryan. That was painful to see him go through that. Felt for him. Teammates picked him up. Whereas players did.
The Royals had just been swept by the Houston Astros at home, and at that time we didn't know that Houston would have a much better year this year. They still have a ways to go. Josh Phegley, man, it's like he knows what's coming when he's facing the Royals. And he's on with a 2-out single.
Yeah, young man wants to make the team next year.
Well, the Royals in the postseason, Fox Sports Kansas City has you covered. The Boulevard Royals Live postgame show will be on Fox Sports Kansas City after every playoff game. It's the coverage you'd expect from us. and your home of the Royals, Fox Sports Kansas City. Carlos Sanchez, 1 for 3 with a double last night. We showed you his flashy double play, critical double play late in the game. Batting with Fegley at first and 2 down. 0-2.
I've said it before, you know, there's no such thing as meaningless baseball games. Fegley, he's looking for a job next year. He's finishing strong. Robert Ventura is going to remember this final week for this young man here. He's swinging the bat well. Got him in the base hit today.
And Sanchez is down on strikes. 3 strikeouts for Yordano Ventura. He's allowed 2 harmless singles, and at the end of 2, the Royals lead 2-0. League's most valuable player. And 3 of those guys will be on contending teams. Nelson Cruz with the Orioles. Well, he's been worth the reduced salary that the Orioles paid him. Victor Martinez trying for a batting title. Mike Trout with the Angels. Trout seems to be the favorite. So there are the numbers. There are the credentials. All excellent seasons.
How can you not give it to Mike Trout? Second, 2 years in a row behind Miguel Cabrera when he deserved it, didn't he? Miguel Cabrera's seasons were off the charts. We'll see. Some would say that Mike Trout's not even having this kind of season he could have. It's the kind of talent and ability he has.
Nori tried to bunt his way on or lay down a sacrifice bunt after the Escobar double in the first inning, and he lined a bunt, if there is such a thing, to Konerko at first base. One ball, 2 strikes. I believe Konerko has added a J at the top there for his wife Jennifer.
Looks like he added a heart too. But that heart wasn't there, was it?
Middle for a base hit. Noriaoki has hit an 8 straight. And you know there are people screaming at their televisions now saying, where was that swing back in the first inning?
Well, that's just skillful hitting is what that is. He's able to recognize the curveball, waited till the last minute and hit it right back up the middle where it came from. That's perfect.
And as Lorenzo Cain comes to the plate, we go to Joel.
Ryan, you were talking about MVP and Victor Martinez looking for a batting title, but Jose Altuve in the lead going into this final day. Altuve at 340, Martinez at 337, and the Astros made a decision to bench Altuve today. They have never had a batting champion in their franchise history, as Lorenzo Cain is going to pop that up and just grabbed out there in left field by Jordan Danks. But as we look right now at the batting averages, Jose Altuve was not going to play today. He was not happy about it. He lobbied, he got in there. Good for him. He wanted to win this on his own. And hey, Victor Martinez could have gone 3 for 3, 4 for 4. And a play-in game, if that happened tomorrow, 163, that would count. Well, so far, Victor is 0 for 2. Altuve is 2 for 3. The GM of the team and the interim manager, Tom Lawless, told him this morning he wouldn't play, but the Astros later issued a statement on Twitter saying Altuve approached Lawless prior to today's game and was passionate about playing today. As the best player, he deserves the right to make that decision. Looks like it's paying off for him. By the way, as far as that Tigers game goes, it's 1-0 right now still, bottom of the 6th, and David Price has taken over the American League strikeout lead. He's at 270, one more than Corey Kluber. He's also thrown 99 pitches through 6 innings.
All right, Joel, thank you.
Get to that pin, you might win.
Joel's story reminds me of probably the most famous last day of the season story, and you go back to 1941. 1 ball, 1 strike on Hosmer. Ted Williams was shooting for 400, and I believe he was hitting either right at 400 or 399, 97 or something like that. It would have rounded up to 400, and the Red Sox were going to play a doubleheader against the Philadelphia Athletics. And the Red Sox wanted Ted Williams to sit the day out to make sure he could hit 400. And like Jose Altuve, he was not very happy about that. He wanted to play. He thought he could hit better than 400. And he sure did. He ended up at 406.
And that just goes to show you what a positive outlook and hungry and wanting to succeed will do. Positive vibes. I can, I will. Instead of I can't and I won't. Big difference.
Ted Williams went 6 for 8 in that doubleheader. Banks out in left center field. Aoki tags, but he will hold. Although he would have made it. Let's get an update in Detroit. Miguel Cabrera at the plate. Ian Kinsler at second base. Facing Kyle Gibson, another former MU Tiger. This is Aaron Hicks. Wow. For the final out of the inning. In any other ballpark, that's a home run. But it's 420 to straightaway center field at Konerko Park.
Great catch.
So that would have made it a 2-0 Tigers lead. Instead, it is 1-0 Detroit to the top of the 7th inning. Billy Butler led off the 2nd inning with a double up the right field line and scored the Royals' first run. Five hits for the Royals today, 4 doubles. Escobar has a double, Butler has a double, Gordon has a double, Moustakas has doubled. And Aoki at first base here with 2 outs. He's single. The Royals have had the leadoff man on in all 3 innings against Chris Bassett. And Billy is 2 for 2. So the Royals will need that bat in the postseason, and Billy's starting to warm up. 2 on with 2 out.
Another solid swing up the middle. And they're getting hits on everything he's throwing. It's because it's in the middle. That's all. Sliders, curveballs are getting hit. His 2-seam fastball is getting hit. It's all because of the location. He's missing. And the Royals are not. That's the whole key to successful hitting. Billy Butler, you mentioned it, hit 371 in his last 10 games. All aboard.
Ball strike to Alex. He just missed his 20th home run of the year when he batted in the 2nd inning with a line drive to the top of the padded wall in right field. Ended up with a double and came around to score. Today or tomorrow, if there's a playoff in Detroit, that would count as a regular season game. Alex would have 20 for the 3rd time in his career. He had exactly 20 last year. His career high is 23. That was back in 2011. Will land in the crowd, and it's 1-2.
Alex has always been a steady run producer this season for sure. 336 now with runners in scoring position.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Full count. Salvador Perez will be next. Aoki at second base, Butler at first. They'll be off for the next pitch. Long run for Garcia, but he'll get there and end the inning. 2 hits, 2 left to the bottom of the third. 2-0 Royals.
And the hero of the game today is Staff Sergeant Michael Matthew, nearly 12 years in the United States Air Force. He's a recruiter here in the area, but his hometown is Spring Hill, Kansas. I know his family is watching back home. Graduated from high school in Spring Hill back in 2000. Got himself a nice hug from Alexei Ramirez and a huge applause from all these White Sox fans. What they don't know is that Michael is here rooting for his Royals today. So it is great to have Michael here, his wife, and his kids. We thank him for his service and hope that the Royals can give him a little something to cheer about today. Thank you, Staff Sergeant Michael Matthew.
All right, Joel, and thank you for researching that so that we could show him on TV for his friends and family. Certainly miss him and wish he was back in Kansas, but serving our country here in Chicago. And no matter where he's from or who he's rooting for, he deserves a standing ovation, an ovation that he got. And yet, it's probably best he held that little secret about who he's rooting for to himself.
I love how the K does theirs in the middle of the game, early in the game. Very special.
2-2 on Leury Garcia leading off the third inning. Playing at shortstop today. Alexei Ramirez not in the lineup. Garcia, at least this Garcia, appears in the series for the first time. Excellent changeup and 4 strikeouts for Yordano Ventura. Another Mazda game break as we go back to Detroit. David Price. And everybody thought, well, not everybody, but many thought the Tigers would run away with the division when the Tigers got him from Tampa Bay. He is dealing this afternoon. 109 pitches in 7 scoreless innings. That was the final pitch and out of the top of the 7th. So Detroit bats in the bottom of the 7th inning. The trade hasn't quite worked out as far as the team goes for Detroit, nor has the John Lester trade. Though Lester's been good, it hasn't worked out for the A's the way they had thought.
No, and there's never any real formula for winning success. Now, you could load your team up, but they just have to be able to bond well. And Unfortunately for Price, he can't pitch 9 innings every time out. You got to get it to that bullpen, and that Detroit pin has been suspect.
Tigers are just 5-5 going into today in games that David Price has started for them. Adam Eaton lines it into center field. And Lorenzo Cain did a good job of cutting it off. And in doing so, Eaton has a double rather than a triple.
Yeah, on that first bounce, it hit the grass and skipped. Lorenzo Cain had to change gears and cut his angle down a little bit there to get that. That's a nice play. Keep him up third. Ball was hit well and had some backspin on it. So when the first landed, took off. Ball gets by him. That's 3 for sure. Maybe more.
Semien flied to center first time up. It's the first time the White Sox have had a runner pass first base today. Hit well to left field. Alex Gordon is back, and Marcus Semien, it's a 2-run home run to tie the game. Marcus Semien, that's his second career home run against Yordano Ventura, and that puts an end to a 66 inning stretch for Ventura without allowing a home run. You see that coming?
Didn't really. As a fastball, he brought his hands in, and he just quick swing, allowed the velocity of Ventura's fastball to carry. And it was loud. You could tell there was solid contact. Most home runs are hit right up underneath that baseball, so it gets backspin and it carries. Some strong guys can hit him with topspin, but you got to really get some height on it to get it over the wall.
0-2 on Abisail Garcia. Aoki makes a play in right, and that's the second out, and it gets us to Paul Konerko. Struck out against Yordano Ventura first time. Curveball flipped in for a strike.
Tough pitcher for Konerko to end his career on.
These are probably the type of pitchers that helped Konerko make the final decision. At 38,
I would agree.
And here, Konerko was almost driving. Or at the driving age when Yordano Ventura was born. So he's 38. Ventura's 23, and what do they say? When it's time to go, the game will tell you when it's time to go. The opponents will tell you when it's time to go.
Better believe it. Pitchers will. They'll let you know.
Three-pitch strikeout. Ventura has 5. He has gotten Konerko twice. The game is tied at 2 after the Marcus Semien home run. fans to tweet your photo using hashtag KCFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown during today's game broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T. The poor groundskeepers. They didn't know, and by the time they knew, it was too late. Paul Konerko all game has been working on honoring his family, his wife Jennifer, his son. His son's name, by the way, is not CK, it's Nick. CK remains. Nick, Owen, Amelia. He has since added a heart and a J for his wife Jennifer. And poor groundskeeper, his job is to drag the infield before the 4th inning. And by the time he could hear the fans screaming at him to stop, it was too late.
Yeah, but they did stop, and they looked down and they went, oops. We messed with some artwork from Paulie. Okay, they're heading in this direction right here. They're not thinking about it. They're going, oh, now they're stopping. See, they're going, oh, no. Oh, look what we did. Well, they're figuring Paulie struck out a couple of times. Let's just clean the slate and start over. Now, I hope he doesn't end his career like I ended mine, getting hit in the neck. My last at bat as a pro in 21 years. I hope that doesn't happen to him, especially if it's Mike Ventura.
Who hit you?
Scott Roughcorn. Right in the
I
neck.
don't think I'd ever want to get hit by a guy named Roughcorn.
Yeah, right in the neck at 90. Got me. And I always used to hear pitchers come back in the dugout when they were angry. I'm going to give that guy a neck ball. And I was wondering, why would you want to hit somebody in the neck? And now I know why. It hurts.
Sal is down on strikes, and that is the first strikeout for Chris Bassett. Sal drove in a run with a sac fly first time up. Well, the bad news is Detroit still leads 1-0 there in the 8th inning. The good news is Minnesota is in Detroit's bullpen with 1 out in the 8th inning. David Price is out. Jabba Chamberlain is in. Got Fegley. 0-2 on Infante.
Whenever a catcher or umpires get hit like that, was off his big toe. Ouch. Umpires take time. They'll walk out, give the pitcher a new baseball, brush off the plate, take some time because they know what it feels like to get hit, so they give the guy time to get some feeling back. Fegley says, thank you, Ted. We're all right.
Two on Infante. He lined hard to the left fielder Danks in the 2nd inning. Omar Infante in his first year with the Royals has a career high 66 RBIs. That's 11 more than any other year. 66 RBIs in 134 games. That's 8 fewer games than his previous career high. So more RBIs in fewer games. He is down on strikes, and after going 3 innings without a strikeout, Bassett has back-to-back strikeouts. Well, mark your calendars. 2015 Royals Fan Fest presented by Commerce Bank will be Friday, January 30th and Saturday, January 31st at Bartle Hall. It's great for the entire family. An interactive Royals baseball experience with player autograph sessions, slugger appearances, Royals merchandise, activities, and much more. Royals.com/FanFest. And what will we be celebrating at FanFest next year? Mike Moustakas had an RBI double in the second inning. Moustakas has only had 2 3-hit games this year, but both of those were here. I mentioned earlier that he's done well against the White Sox, and if Moustakas can get 4 hits today, he would have 100 for the season. Changeup in for a strike, 1-2. So it'd be his first 4-hit game of the year. That'd be one way to finish off, one good way, one memorable way to finish off the regular season. Lost a bat, and it's still 1-2.
Bassett's starting to mix up those curveballs, and one of the reasons he's having some success in this inning is he's not throwing strikes. He's letting the Royals swing at him. He's throwing that slow curveball in the dirt, and it's teasing him. Maybe he's figuring it out. An aggressive swinging team like the Royals don't have to throw him strikes. A lot of pitchers and pitching coaches talk about that.
Lost the bat again. This one stayed intact. That was a pretty impressive heave.
Yeah, but on contact with the ground over there, it might have snapped. I don't know. Anyway, Moose is going to get a new piece. Let's see if it stayed intact over there. Look at, they're checking it out. Says good to go. Incoming.
Think he could hit that chair again if he got 1,000 more chances?
No, and our cameramen, they're really good. They don't play shortstop or middle infield, but they can move on their feet.
2-2.
Fonzo Marcus, third base umpire.
Well,
way to go, guys.
You wear a Packers shirt to a Chicago sports venue, and the word karma comes into play. That's Cameron working the low first camera. First of all, the cameramen and women have good reflexes. They have to have good reflexes to work a camera, try and follow a little baseball. But they're probably also aware that they are operating a $150,000 camera. So it would behoove them to protect those cameras.
Those many baseball games that are played every day throughout the season, baseball has found the lens at times, shattered their cameras and busted a few of them. Could be hazardous down there, but I'm glad everybody's all right.
Bassett strikes out the side. So no strikeouts in the first 3 innings, and then 3 strikeouts in the 4th. At College and King in Overland Park. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Royals fans for this 4-game series. And the ones fortunate enough to be here on Friday were part of the clinching celebration. 2-2 tie. Royals scored 2 in the second inning. White Sox got 2 in the third inning. Viciedo, Danks, and Fegley coming up. Only one on Diane Viciedo. He was a strikeout victim of Ventura's in the second inning. Giordano has struck out 5. No walks. Ventura has 11 straight quality starts. That is a rookie record, a Royals rookie record by 3. Kevin Apier back in 1990 had 8.
You know, he in his first year, every player goes through that. They're called a rookie, but overall, I think Ventura is one of the best pitchers in the American League. Forget about being a rookie. Speaking of rookies, sometimes they get that treatment right there. Little cup on the hat.
Viciedo singles to center field. White Sox have the leadoff man on as Academy Sports and Outdoors gives us a look at Giordano Ventura's season. American League rookie ranks. 3rd in strikeouts, 2nd in wins, with best ERA, lowest opponent's batting average, most quality starts, and I'll add to that, most innings. And go back to the quality starts that Ventura is working on, 11 in a row. And this guy's getting in Ventura's way as far as winning the American League Rookie of the Year. Although, in my opinion, that's all it is, just my opinion, Ventura is a rookie. Abreu is just playing in his first year in the major leagues, which qualifies him as a rookie. As Kane will make the play on Danks. But the most encouraging thing for Ventura is that for a lot of rookies, the numbers are spiked in the first half as the league is trying to figure out what they can and cannot do. And many times those numbers will slide in the second half as the league adjusts. But that hasn't been the case for Ventura. All those innings, and if you add today 175 innings, or 184, let me take that back, 184 innings for Ventura, and his ERA in his last 11 is just barely 2. Josh Fegley, my goodness. Viciedo to third. He'll be waved home as Alex throws all the way to the plate, and now Fegley, all he has to do is get back to second base because there's nobody there. Josh Fegley 2 for 2 today. He's hit 3 home runs in the series. He has 5 RBIs in the series. And the White Sox take a 3-2 lead.
Fastball, both of them that were hit hard. One by Semien, the 2-run home run, and now this one here by Fegley. Fastballs that came in. 2 seamers that ran in, and the hitters were ready for him. Fegley just touched the chalk. Alex Gordon threw it so hard his glasses flung off his head. And wouldn't you know, there's nobody at second base. Pick up an extra out. Fegley's going good.
Sanchez jumped on a first pitch breaking ball and missed. Ventura struck him out with a fastball in the second inning. Oh, and 2. One ball, 2 strikes on Carlos Sanchez. White Sox are getting a long look at him at second base. Gordon Beckham, their longtime second baseman, is now with the Angels. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Okay, let's check. There's Infante right there. Infante needs to stay home, but he's coming. See where he's coming over there, and there's really no need for a trail fielder there, because Alex obviously going to try to make that throw all the way on his own. There was no need to have an extra infielder over there, so Infante was out of position.
And Hosmer was over there, right? I mean,
yeah, you want to stay home there. There's no need for second base to be unoccupied.
Still 3-2. Escobar. Fegley had to make sure it was going to get through, so he'll only go to third. 4 batters, 3 hits for the White Sox in this 4th inning.
Ventura's not happy. Moose handed him the ball, or threw it to him, and he just snapped at it. He's very disgusted with himself. I think it's a good time for the head mechanic, Dave Island, to come on and try to settle him a little. Pitches are just a little bit over the plate. He's got to get back on the edges again.
Remember, the most popular way to follow the Royals into the postseason is with MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, live radio broadcasts, the MLB.TV game of the day, and more. Get At Bat for your smartphone or tablet on the App Store or visit MLB.com. Wanted foul by Garcia, trying a safety squeeze, running for a base hit, although Red Sox don't have very good speed at third base. Typically on a play like that, you want somebody who'd be able to score on a marginal bunt. Marginally good bunt. Tapped out in front of the plate, and Ventura goes to the plate, and Fegley is out.
So much has changed with the no collisions at home, and giving the runner a sliding lane. Because typically on that play there, catcher gets the ball, he drops his shin guards right in front of the plate, and the runner's not getting in. But you can't do that. So Robin Ventura's waiting for his video operator to give him the thumbs up or thumbs down. We saw Ted Barrett get angry with Ron Gardenhire on a replay. Now throw was a little bit high. Got to get that tag down there. Got him. Now Ted looks like he didn't make a call, so obviously Fegley did not touch the plate in Ted Barrett's opinion. So he didn't give a call right away. I don't know if Salvi reached it there. Looked like he missed the tag, and Fegley missed the plate. That's the whole question will be, did his foot hit the plate? See, Ted Barrett didn't make a sign yet. Salvi is going to re-tag him.
Question is there contact right there?
No, it looked up to me. It looked like
I'm talking about Sal's glove.
No.
You think Sal definitely missed the tag?
He missed the tag.
Okay.
From that other angle we had from the first base side.
Okay.
And Fagley's foot, to me, looks like it wasn't down on the ground and didn't hit the plate. Now watch how it comes up his foot. And Ted's looking at it. He's right on that. Ted Barrett, he's looking right at that. How can he miss that call? And he sees there was no tag made. He saw Salvi miss him too. So I think Ted Barrett's right on the call here. Now we'll see what New York says.
Right as that was happening, guys, the Tigers just scored on a very close play at the plate. Not one that was reviewed, but they now have a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the 8th.
Throw was high by Ventura. That's what really caused this play to happen. They had him by a mile, but the throw was high. Ventura was flat-footed. He's just going to try to get the ball to him, and Ted Barrett's waiting. He's out. I think that play right there was called correctly by Ted Barrett. He saw better than we saw with our cameras, and he's out. Way to go, Ted.
The call stands. So that means in New York, they didn't see one way or the other, so we defer to the call on the field, which was Fagley's out. Here's the play in Detroit. Ian Kinsler driving in another run. Andrew Romine coming in to score, so Ian Kinsler has driven in both runs for the Tigers for their 2-0 lead. Now bunted by Eaton. Adam Eaton is 3 for 3.
Groundskeepers, they get a base hit on this one. Good technique. Drops it on the line. That's what you want. Make it fair or foul. And the ball started rolling towards the line, and it was padded just for this. It's going foul. Ventura did the right thing, but then all of a sudden it just started rolling back to the grass. That's a hang with him. Good touch on the bunt.
Adam Eaton is now hitting .368 against the Royals this year. So here is a big play. Bases loaded. 2 down. And Marcus Semien, who was homered against Ventura today, and it was his second career home run against Giordano Ventura. And that ended Ventura's streak of innings without allowing a home run at 66.
Needs a strikeout right here. Go get him. Trust your stuff. Don't try to be too good and throw too hard, because it doesn't work that way. But just go ahead and hit the corner like you did. Break a couple hooks off on him. Maybe a changeup. And just strike him out.
Big pitch here, and Giordano found out in the third inning that he can't throw a fastball by Semien. He did that time at 97. 3-2.
This is where it comes down to, hey, look, I'm going to beat you with my best pitch. I'm coming at you, young man. Bases are loaded here. I got to hold this down, hold you guys down at 1-run lead here. Give it all to him right here.
It is now 4-2 White Sox. And it is 3-0 Detroit. Torrey Hunter has just hit a sacrifice fly to score a run. Detroit has come up with 2 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Casey Coleman warms up as Ventura is coming up on 70 pitches with 2 down in the 4th inning. Changeup hit the outside, strike 1. That was Ventura's first walk of the day. And now it's 0-2. So we're watching what's going on in Detroit. We're watching what's going on in Texas. We're watching what's going on in Seattle. And now, what is this, for the 2nd straight year? We've had a no-hitter involving the Miami Marlins in the last game of the season. Jordan Zimmerman of the Washington Nationals has no-hit the Marlins. Last year it was Henderson Alvarez no-hitting the Tigers in Miami for the final game of the season.
As the game turns, you just never know. Unbelievable. What excitement we got here. Final day of the baseball season.
Ventura gets the strikeout. The White Sox get 2 more runs. They've scored all 4 in the last 2 innings, and they lead as we go to the 5th.
The Mariners win, they would have a play-in for that, and the Orioles beat the Blue Jays. And so the Royals hoping for a little help from Joe Nathan, and they need to get back in this one. Our Honda most trusted player is Alcides Escobar, and this guy has done it every single day this year. Came out of one game early with an injury, still ended up starting the next one. This is his 162nd start with, I think, probably the best defensive play of the season. We talked about that one on High V Royals Live. Moises Sierra is now in center field. But as for Alcides Escobar, who is coming to the plate, I asked Ned Yost what enabled him to be out there every day, and he said he's got the right body type to do it. He's got the mindset. He has the ability to get out there on a regular basis. And when I talked to Alcides, he just said, wow, it is nice. I am so happy. I want to be in there every day. Sometimes I might get a little bit tired, but I love to play this game. I like to be out there. And then he said to me, you know, Ryan pointed out to me the other day, and I didn't know this, that Jimmy Rollins was the last shortstop to start every game in a season, 162. He said that to me is just unbelievable, incredibly special. This is a guy, like so many players, especially the guys that grew up in places like Venezuela and the Dominican, that live for playing this game every single day.
And the shortstops that have come out of that country. One Gold Glove winner after another, and Gold Glove after another. Husky finishing strong, a 9-game hitting streak after his first inning double.
Bassett's tricking him now with the 2 different speeds to his curve. See that 3/4 arm slot he's got. There's some deception there. The ball has a little bit of a 2-seam run in. That's his sinker. And then he's got a little cutter, slider, and overhand curve.
Full count.
That's it. Discipline yourself to lay off of that pitch. Get on base. Escobar, he's not one to take a walk. There's 23 walks in 576 at-bats coming into this game. If he wants to lead off next year for the Royals, he's going to have to really become selective and get on base a lot more with a walk.
Crack bat. And a base hit.
Incredible feat for him. But, you know, Joe mentioned the love of the game, and that's you got to have that. I mean, these guys have a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and in this month of September, the Royals have been extremely aggressive on the bases. They've won a few games just with their legs. This is a very dangerous ball club. Just gonna have to find a way on Tuesday to keep playing. Got to win. They've been playing must-win games now for the last 3 weeks, so it shouldn't be anything out of the ordinary for them on Tuesday. We would hope that we know the passion's going to be there at the K for sure. The crowd's going to be amped. The Royals just want to play their game, loosen up, play their game. Get a couple of timely hits, and hopefully that pitching can get it to the pin with a lead. Still not sure what's going to happen with Oakland and who they're going to start, depending on what happens in today's games. If they have to go
or Seattle.
Yeah, in Seattle, whatever happens, if those two teams have to lock it up, I think John Lester would probably start for Oakland in that game, and that means the Royals would miss him, which they wouldn't mind.
There are 2 outs in the 9th inning in Detroit. The Tigers lead 3-0. Farmland shows us what's cooking with a win and a Tigers loss, and the Tigers are 1 out away from winning. The Royals will play tomorrow. With a loss, either the Royals or the Tigers, the Royals play the wild card game at home against either the A's or the Mariners. And the Mariners are 1 game back of the A's. There's a base hit in left field for Aoki. So Oakland would need to lose, Seattle would need to win, then they would have a wild card play-in game tomorrow. And then we could, as Hud was talking about, that could take John Lester out of the equation. Felix Hernandez is scheduled to pitch later today for Seattle. So that would take him out of the equation if the Royals end up facing Seattle. The A's have an early lead, and Seattle's at home later today. And if the Royals win that wild card, they would head to the West Coast and play the Angels in the division series.
You better believe that the Angels have their scouts here watching this game. That's so far away, even though that's next Thursday. It seems like a long ways away. There's so much to do here.
One ball, one strike. Kane is 0 for 2 so far today. Joe Nathan facing the team where he is the franchise leader in saves, the Minnesota Twins, facing Oswaldo Arcia with 2 outs and nobody on in the 9th inning in Detroit. One and 2 on Kane.
Best pitch for Bassett today is that very slow curveball that he's teasing the hitters with. Starts up, and then because it's so slow, it has a good break to it down to the bottom.
Kane down on strikes, and it's now official. The Royals will be headed home after the game today to face either Oakland or Seattle. Oswaldo Arcia fouling out to Alex Avila. The Tigers were afraid that Avila was done for the year. He was having concussion symptoms when Detroit was in Kansas City during the last homestand, but he catches the final out. Celebration and relief in Detroit. I do not think they wanted to play a game tomorrow against the Royals. And so the Tigers will play the Orioles, and the Angels will play the winner of the wild card. But the Royals will be coming home after today for a wild card game on Tuesday.
And congratulations to the Tigers. The Royals took them down to the very last game this year.
And now we'll see what Ned Yost does. Ned Yost knows to get Yordano Ventura out of there with a relatively low pitch count. Josh Willingham is going to bat for Billy Butler. It's been a while since Salvador Perez has not been in a game, since Alcides Escobar has not been in a game, since Mike Moustakas has not been in a game. So not plan A, as Ned Yost has been referring to. Plan A was winning the division. Plan B was the wild card. But what Plan B gives Ned Yost now is a chance to give some of his players a day and a half off.
He just missed that.
Garcia back into the shadows for the second out. Escobar tags and goes to third.
Maybe Ned will let Francisco Pena back to the plate. Give him a little time. It's an opportunity. We'll see what he does. Alex Gordon, he's coming out for a pinch hitter as well. Raul Ibanez is going to get to hit in Alex's place.
Well, it looks a little somber in the dugout. That'll change when they get back to Kansas City, and they've been able to celebrate amongst themselves and celebrate with the fans that were here on Friday. And with technology now, you can go online and watch the celebrations in Kansas City at all the different restaurants and bars. But they'll get an immediate lift as soon as they get off the plane tonight. And when they get to the ballpark tomorrow for the workout and for the festivities before the game on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, it's on. These guys right now, they're all scrambling in there now, as you see. Some players getting loose. All these extra guys are coming off. Escobar comes off. Nix is going to take his spot at third base. This is a little fun moment right here for extra players. Their hearts are beating. They want to get in this game. They're waiting for the manager to call their name.
Well, if Josh Willingham had not been traded, his season would be over. But now with the Royals, a chance to go to the postseason for the first time. There have been some reports that Josh is contemplating his future beyond this year, whether this will be it. It's time to go home and be a full-time father and husband. He has not made that decision, he says, contrary to some reports. And now is not the time. I think, Paul Konerko, for instance, last year, people wondered if that was going to be his final season, and he was smart enough to say, let me just go home for a month. The end of the season is not a good time to be making decisions for next year. I mean, you're physically beaten down, you're mentally beaten down, you're emotionally beaten down. You kind of have to go home and purge yourself of some of those end of the season feelings and then make a decision.
I agree with you. Same thing with Raul Ibanez. He'll have the same decision now at his age. I don't know if there'll be too many teams out there that are going to want him to play for them, but he'll do the same thing. He'll go home and talk it over. I think that's the best thing to do. Keep the distractions away.
Raul is the father of 5. That'll play into the decision. Willingham is the father of 3. Full count.
Players, they never want to talk about when the end is coming. But one thing is guaranteed a ball player. You'll be an ex-ball player. And nobody in a uniform as a player wants to, or even knows when that day is coming. When that tap on the shoulder comes in the clubhouse and the manager wants to see you, they might release you and you're done. This is a game where they tell you when to go home.
Willingham strikes out, so the Royals began the inning with back-to-back hits. Bassett gets the next 3 with 2 more strikeouts. He has 5 strikeouts in the last 2 innings. Chicago leads 4-2. Well, the regular season comes to a close in a game that has a feel like a spring training game. This is about the time that managers in the early games will make wholesale changes. Dyson's in center. Lane Adams is now in left. Carlos Peguero is in right. Good to see Christian Colon back. He is at third base. Johnny Giavotella is at second base. Jason Nix, who ran for Alcides Escobar, stays in at shortstop. Raul Ibanez is at first. Eric Kratz is behind the plate. And Casey Coleman is on the mound. Otherwise, everybody else stays in the game.
So this situation here, middle of the game, Konerko probably will get another at-bat before this one's over. But Casey Coleman, he's coming in and he's competing, believe me. But challenge him with a few cookies. Give him a chance to hit one for his home crowd. There you go. Throw him some fastballs. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not losing any integrity. There it is. Hit it. It's up to you, Polly. 0 for 8 in the series.
No balls, 2 strikes. Casey Coleman wants to be on the playoff roster.
I understand that. I'm just thinking.
I hear you.
You know.
In the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Giordano Ventura today started with 2 scoreless innings and 3 strikeouts, and then gave up 4 runs in the final 2 innings. He finished with 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. That was a bases loaded walk. Colon, first place, and it's coming back up and throws out Konerko.
Jeff Montgomery's up in our booth. Hey, Monty, in a situation like this, would you give Konerko some fastballs to hit if the game's not on the line?
I would say if the game is not on the line, a little respect from Paulie, give him an opportunity.
That's cookies, fastballs.
I remember seeing Tom Hickey do the same thing to George Brett.
Laid him in there for him.
In George's last game, he gave him something to hit.
Awesome. Coleman pretty stingy there, though. He gave him a good fastball first pitch. Then he broke some sliders off on him, some good pitches.
The game is still somewhat on the line. Nothing will change for the Royals on Tuesday, no matter what happens in this game. And Coleman and the Royals are probably aware of what you said, Hud, that if Konerko doesn't come out, he'll get at least 1 more at bat. From Coleman to Diane Viciedo. Four-pitch walk. 1 on, 1 out. The Royals, Fox Sports, and the state of Missouri are teaming up to help you stop smoking. And for more information, call the Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Jordan Danks has hit a soft liner to short and flied to center. Casey Coleman began his big league career on the other side of town, coming up through the Chicago Cubs organization out of Florida Gulf Coast University. 2009, he was the Cubs minor league pitcher of the year. And he got his first big league win in 2010. Interesting. Casey got his first big league win at the Nationals in 2010. His father, Joe, who also pitched in the big leagues, got his first major league victory in Washington, but that was against the Senators when Joe was playing for the Kansas City A's. Families like the Boones and the Bells, which both have Kansas City ties. The Hairstons, who have a White Sox tie, better known for three-generation families, but Casey Coleman comes from a three-generation family, Major League family. His grandfather Joe and his father Joe Jr. pitch in the big leagues. Base hit into right field for Danks. Viciedo will hold at second as Peguero gets it back in. 2 on with 1 out. Josh Phegley. He was 2 for 26. He has spent most of the year in the minor leagues, but he was 2 for 26 when this series began with the Royals, and now he's 5 for 9 with 3 home runs and 5 RBIs.
Take that fastball in. Back him off the plate. Good pitch.
And then a good breaking ball over the outside. Somehow that ball went foul. 1 and 2. Everything Phegley has hit hard has either been fair and or over the left field wall.
When you're hot, you see the ball well, the ball looks big.
Will take it to the bag himself. 2 down. Viciedo goes to third. And Danks goes to second.
Ibanez working those feet. Years young. I'll tell you what, this guy's future is bright. Even though he's got his hands full at home with all them youngins, and that's a beautiful thing to have, especially when you got a bank full of cake. Yeah, but he's going to have a nice future, whatever he decides to do. I don't know if he'll be in upper management, in the front office somewhere, an advisor, but he can pretty much make his own call.
And for those of you not up to date with all the baseball lingo, Ibanez is not a baker. A bank full of cake is another way of saying he has a nice banking account.
That's right. Glue. Ball players call it glue too. Some players make whale glue. I've heard that term before. Now, I don't know how the pay system works now with these players, but when I was playing, they gave you a check. They hand you a check every 2 weeks. And some of those checks I saw from some of them guys, I was like, wow, really? Nowadays, I think they do it different. You know, they just automatically put it in your bank or whatever. But back then, they had the hard checks. I remember a couple of guys
were called direct deposit.
There you go. some of the guys were whining. They weren't getting the respect. They weren't getting a chance to play. They were veterans. And then when that check came, I said, look, that's the ultimate respect right there. Paycheck you're getting.
Just trying to imagine an envelope full of whale glue.
It's a lot.
Salvador Perez handling the pop-up to make it official. Royals executives, George Brett, President Dan Glass, General Manager Dayton Moore, all celebrating in the suite as the Royals celebrated on the field. Fans celebrated outside the Royals dugout. And the Royals took the celebration outside to share it with the fans. On a very wet night in the visiting clubhouse at U.S. Cellular Field. And let's welcome in Royals Hall of Famer Denny Matthews. I was thinking about your postseason career before you came over here. 1976, 1977, 1978, 1980, 1981, 1984.
Right.
1985.
Correct.
And this will be your first wild card on Tuesday.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Well,
man.
thanks.
Listen to everybody cheering.
Thank you. Thank you. So Konerko will not get another man.
Oh, that's for Paul Konerko.
Yeah. You know, I thought he hurt his back a little bit on a check swing the second time out. What a career, huh? Give that man a hand. You know what I find impressive about Konerko? He was in the Dodgers organization. They didn't want him. The way he went to Cincinnati, briefly there, they didn't want him. Now he's going to take a curtain call. So Cincinnati traded him to Chicago for Mike Cameron. He was a good player. But Paul Konerko, self-made big leaguer with now as he disappears into the dugout, tremendous numbers.
We've been really fortunate this year to see Derek Jeter Day, Paul Konerko night last night, and you wonder if that's the end of an era. You know, they want him to come back out again. I mean, I don't think anybody would mind if he wanted to come out for a second curtain call.
But Ibanez, before he stepped in, he was looking in their dugout, just waiting to see if Paulie would come back out of respect to stay out of the box.
And I wonder, are we at the end of an era? I mean, Derek Jeter, 20 years, all with one team. A captain. I think the captains are gone now. I think that's the last two. Paul Konerko, you mentioned the Dodgers and the Reds, but for all intents and purposes, a White Sox player, 16 seasons. And there will be players who will potentially put up numbers like Paul Konerko and Derek Jeter, but will they do it with one team? Will there be another day like Derek Jeter Day? Will there be another day like we've just seen today or last night, Paul Konerko Day?
That's an excellent point, and I might add that I had the honor of going into the Hall of Fame with two guys who had great careers, who spent their entire careers with one team. Tony Gwynn, San Diego, Cal Ripken, obviously Baltimore. And the writer that year, Rick Hummel, who spent his entire career in St. Louis following the Cardinals. And yours truly with the Rockies, of course. And yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
That'll be the last Hall of Fame induction class. We're going to have four guys who really only had attached to only one city and one organization.
And I pointed that out while we were there, and Cal Ripken came up afterward and he said, you know what, you were right on it. I don't think we're ever going to see four guys go in who have spent their entire careers with one organization. I begin to wonder about Ibanez. What are his plans?
Yeah, we were talking about that last inning, Denny. I mean, he can do anything he wants. And as Hud pointed out, he has a bank full of cake. I'll let you ponder that as the White Sox make a pitching change.
That, if you're fortunate enough, is a beautiful thing.
Announce that we're going to have a one-of-a-kind event tomorrow at Kauffman Stadium. The Royals Take the Crown Pep Rally will allow you, the fans and players, to come together to celebrate the first Royals postseason appearance in 29 years. The event will run from 11:30 until 1 tomorrow. The gates will open at 10:45. It's free to the public. So come out to Kauffman Stadium tomorrow to celebrate this special year in Kansas City Royals baseball history. Royals Pep Rally tomorrow at Kauffman Stadium. Gates opening at 10:45.
What a day tomorrow at the Truman Complex. Monday Night Football. Pep Rally. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Daniel Webb now pitching for the White Sox. Before Paul Konerko came out, Denny, I was talking about all the postseason you've seen in Royals history. You've seen every Royals postseason game. You've never seen a wild card game before, and it's easy to remember because it's been so long since we've had the wild card that every year you broadcast the Royals prior to this year, you only had to win one series to get to the World Series. And then people will forget that before you came to the Royals, all you had to do was win the regular season and you'd go directly to the World Series.
Finish first. Go play golf. And you had the two teams with the best record. Naturally. And so now with the wild card, you don't have to necessarily have the best record to get into the World Series. And it brings to mind 85 when the Royals played Toronto in the playoffs. Toronto had a better record. The Royals were down 3-1. And that was the first year they went from 3 out of 5 to 4 out of 7. So 1 year earlier, the Royals would have been out. Toronto would have won 3 before the Royals. And so 4 out of 7, the Royals came back from a 3-1 deficit. Same situation in the World Series. Royals were down 3-1. And George Brett famously said, we've got him right where we want him. They're going to come from behind again, and sure enough, they did. The point is, the Royals had secondary records to both those teams. And I've always felt that if you are supposed to win, if you're the favorite, it's always a little bit tougher. There's a little more pressure. When you're playing loose and free and easy, you're not supposed to win. You just go out and let it fly. You're dangerous.
Hopefully, that's what the 2014 Royals will do Tuesday night. One-game playoffs are really not meant for baseball. I mean, really, you could get a college team to come in and play any major league team. That college team in one game could beat that big league team.
You bet. You get a good dominant pitcher, you bet.
It's all about that pitcher.
No question about it.
And that's why I think, well, they wanted more playoffs. I mean, that's just kind of the way sports are going now, more playoffs, which means more revenue, more exposure. And yet at the same time, I think baseball felt like it was too much of a reward to not win your division and get into a short series with a team that did win the division and you can knock them out. So now you got two wild card teams that have to play each other, and one of them has to earn the right to advance on to play a short series. Johnny Giavotella goes to right field. That gets Raul Ibanez to second base. So 2 on with 1 out. Open to load the bases for Trudy Thomas, who lives in Cleveland, Missouri, our Sonic Slam inning contestant. A home run is worth $300. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Trudy wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Oh, Trudy. Give you something to pull for here. Load them up, tee her high, and let her fly.
Christian Colon shoots it into right center field. He will drive in 2 as Colon ties the game. Christian Colon, who just got back to the Royals. He had been in Arizona at instructional league, coming back from a broken fingertip. And the Royals have tied the game at 4 in the 6th inning.
Nice. Took that off-speed pitch and hit it exactly where you're supposed to. Split the gap and it went all the way to the wall. That could have been a fastball on him down like that. He went down and really got it.
Denny, I could probably go through most of the Royals postseason series and what the final result was, how the season eventually ended, but I don't remember, because I wasn't there, how those teams went into the postseason. And did you see it? I won't ask you to go through every year, but as you look back, you know, there's a feeling now that if you have fewer days off and you're playing well going into the postseason, you have some momentum, as opposed to, you know, having all this time off. Oh, you can rest everybody, and a lot of times that backfires when you get into the postseason.
Sure. Let me go back to 85, and I'll give you a comparison.
Nix hitting for the first time, grounds out to short. They're 2 down.
1985, the Royals had a left-handed pitcher named Danny Jackson. And I compare Danny Jackson a little bit to Danny Duffy. In other words, at times Duffy is pretty unhittable. So was Danny Jackson. And it was Danny Jackson, I mentioned the 3-1 deficit, and you figure, well, maybe we're out of this series. They came back both times, and in both instances, it was Danny Jackson who got the Royals over that hump and got their momentum within the series. And the Royals took Toronto out and then later the Cardinals. And I remember '85, the Royals went into that series playing pretty well last 2 weeks. Others, it was a little bit of both. I remember the '77 team was really playing well when they went into the series against the Yanks.
Guerra with a base hit, and the Royals are going to take the lead. So the Royals bench has put the Royals back on top. It is 5-4 in the 6th inning.
I don't know about you guys. I'm not a huge believer in necessarily momentum going into the postseason. And I think it's been said very well that momentum is only as good as the guy you're going to hand the ball to make the start as the pitcher that night. And I think there's more to that for sure than there is, yeah, we got momentum. We just won 4 of the last 5 over the last week of the schedule. Well, maybe you won 4 out of 5, but maybe you were playing the 5th place team and they were playing a lot of their AAA guys just called up. So I just think that you go into the series with your pitching set up the way you want it, then you're going to do much better. It's just a fact of life that if you're starting pitching, and in our case, the Royals get it to the bullpen, well, you're in pretty good shape. And that's why I think the Royals are such a dangerous team in the postseason. I think nobody really wants to play the Royals. The other side in the National League, I bet you nobody really wants to tangle with Washington.
I agree with you, Denny. In 1995, I was with the Angels, the California Angels then, and we won every game that last week. We had finished the slate 5 in a row. We were red hot. And that final day of the season, Seattle lost. We were tied. So now we're boarding the bus after the game, and we're going to Seattle. We find out that a guy named Randy Johnson's waiting for us for that one-game playoff. And now instead of putting our dauber down going, oh, we got to face him, we said, hey, let's go. We're all in. And unfortunately, it was a great game. Mark Langston was our pitcher. He battled Randy Johnson for 6 innings. It was no score, and then the floodgates opened for Seattle. But it's all a mindset in that one-game playoff. It's a mindset that it's dangerous. I mean, I almost lost my friendship with Mark Langston. We were so intense. When the game got out of hand, we had some words in the dugout. And, it's a really tough thing for baseball. One game, winner take all.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's not momentum. It's that starting pitcher.
You bet. And I've always felt that the playoffs, especially the way they're structured now, is a crapshoot. And everybody, there's no dominant team in baseball, in my opinion. And I think anybody can beat anybody in these playoffs. I don't think you can say, okay, well, this team's going to win their division series and they're going to play so-and-so and they're going to beat them. No way. I mean, you're rolling the dice every time you go out there.
Was it the 80 team that had all the uncertainty? Just stay in New York, not knowing who you were going to play in the World Series?
I was going to bring that up because we would have faced, well, we did face kind of the same situation today, but we had knocked the Yankees out in 3 games. And there was a long layoff, and there was discussion as to whether to send the team back to Kansas City or stay in New York and then go to either Philadelphia or Houston. I'll continue the story now at the end of this particular inning.
On the edge of my seat.
Well, you should.
inning, and Aaron Crow is on the pitch for KC as the Royals just got 3 in the 6th to take the lead. Christian Colon driving in a run. Carlos Peguero driving in a run. Leury Garcia will lead off. Continue.
We were in 1980, correct?
Correct.
Royals have knocked off the Yankees in 3 games.
Famously.
Red homers, end of series. We decide to stay in New York and await the next opponent, either Houston or Philadelphia. So the World Series would not open until Tuesday night. So the decision was stay in New York. That decision has been second guessed a few times because all day Saturday, all day Sunday, all day Monday, they did work out one time. Then you go. What happened was Philadelphia, Houston went down to the final game, and we were at the airport on a TWA charter to go to either Houston or Philadelphia. Well, they put about 100 meals on the plane, and it ended up we were going to Philadelphia, an 18-minute flight. I have no idea what happened to those 100 meals, but they weren't used, needless to say. And then we played the Phils, and Philadelphia won. But a lot of people thought the Royals should come back to Kansas City. There was a long layoff between the end of our series and the beginning of the World Series. Work out in familiar territory, regroup, go to Philadelphia. We wouldn't have sat on the airplane for 3 hours waiting to see where we were going to go. It was just awkward.
Well, those are extremely important decisions to make by management. Wow.
Well, TWA wasn't real happy about all their meals either, so that was a decision that didn't please them too much. But all the possibilities, and there's certainly more now when you have 4 extra teams or 4 wild card teams, and the math is sometimes overwhelming.
But look what that's done, though, for cities like Kansas City, Seattle. Last night, watching that game in a packed sellout house. I mean, just that extra wild card game has added a lot of excitement around the league in baseball. I think it's another good move by Bud.
Lane Adams makes the play on Garcia for the first out.
Bud Selig, who will be stepping down after this year. I think it's coming down to a great finish for him. Who knows what's going to happen in postseason? Still another month to go in baseball.
Take a look at our sprint question of the day. No surprise, 75% believe that Mike Trout will be the American League MVP after finishing behind Miguel Cabrera in back-to-back years. Johnny Giavotella says, "I'll take it." 42-year-old Raul Ibanez says, "You go right ahead, young man." Good for you. You know, as the team was celebrating, I haven't been here as long as you have, Denny, but after 16 years and watching them celebrate in the clubhouse, and Joel's down there doing interviews, and just, you know, a lot of memories and a lot of thoughts started to come back. And Joel was interviewing Raul, and I just thought about how appropriate it was that Raul Ibanez was part of the celebration, because the Royals came close in 2003. Raul was part of that team. Raul signed with the Seattle Mariners the next year. That was a big loss for the Royals, both on the field and the clubhouse. And 2004 obviously was a very bad season, not the next step forward. And so it took 11 years, but there was Raul in the middle of the celebration. We thought it might be 2004 when the Royals would go back to the playoffs, and as it turned out, it was 2014. But Raul was part of it nonetheless.
And when he came back, I told him the first time I'd seen him in a while, I said, "Boy, you look really natural and really good in royal blue," and he smiled. And of course, the Royals were the team that really gave him his opportunity to establish himself as a very good player. He will be forever grateful for that.
And it says a lot about him. He's a wonderful human being.
He is.
That I remember you saying once, and I don't think your opinion has changed, that in 46 years now. When you say that Raul Ibanez is one of your favorites, you've been around a lot of greats, good guys on the field, off the field, and that's quite a compliment for Raul Ibanez.
I'll say one more thing. I wish all of the young players, even some of the veteran players, would look toward him. How did they comport themselves on and off the field?
Their fourth consecutive Central Division title as they shut out Minnesota. David Price, 7 1/3 scoreless innings. The Royals are waiting to see if they will face the A's or the Mariners. If the A's win or the Mariners lose, the Royals will face the A's. If Oakland loses and Seattle wins, they'll have a 1-game play-in for the wild card. And that's where we are in the standings, both in the division and in the wild card. Let's go to Joel.
Well, you guys are talking about all the American League. The Cardinals clinched their division. Pittsburgh lost to Cincinnati, so they're the wild card. And Johnny Cueto of the Reds became the first 20-game winner for that franchise since 1988. Anyone want to take a stab at who that was? It is a name that has been mentioned on this broadcast already.
Danny Jackson.
There you go. Finished second that season to Oral Hershiser in the National League Cy Young race.
First time I faced Danny Jackson was in Double-A Jacksonville, and that's the first time I ever told myself that guy's a big league pitcher.
Wasn't any fun, was it?
Never saw a slider like that in my life. Unbelievable.
I wouldn't like my chances if I was facing a guy named Jackson in Jacksonville. I think the deck is stacked against you, isn't it?
I remember it vividly. It was a day game, and that's when you see the ball the best. He was incredible.
Lane Adams going to bat against Scott Carroll, graduate of Liberty High School. Scott Carroll. So today, Scott Carroll is going to try and get the Royals out, but pretty soon he'll be heading back home and rooting for the Royals. Growing up a big Royals fan, David Cone was his favorite pitcher. Second major league at bat for Lane Adams. And Carroll strikes him out on 3 pitches, 1 down in the 7th inning.
David Cone was a beast.
He was so much fun to watch pitch, because he was the type of pitcher that would invent things on the spur of the moment.
Totally. He threw some sidearm pitches to me. Sidearm.
Laredo. He called some of his pitches Laredo.
They were nasty.
He came from Laredo. I don't know where that came from, but
filthy.
That was Coney. Yeah, it was fun to watch. He would create on the mound. Arm angles, pitches. He'd experiment. Stuff he could do in the bullpen normally, but he'd do it on the mound in the game.
But he had intensity. You could feel it. Oh, boy.
Willingham bats for the second time. He struck out in the 5th inning. He didn't have the same velocity, but we got to watch Paul Bird pitch for the Royals, and he had that same kind of create on the fly mentality. He'd pitch a game, and afterward we'd find out he was using a screwball that Al Nipper taught him while he was warming up in the bullpen before the game. And bring it, you know, he wouldn't work on it for a few weeks. He'd, well, let's try it tonight, see how it works out.
Edison, Thomas Edison, inventor.
Yep.
Isn't it funny how 1 out in Detroit about 45 minutes ago caused this game to revert into a spring training type of game immediately.
Fair ball. Semien throws out Willingham. And the timing was right because it was the bottom of the 5th inning. We're going into the bottom of the 5th inning when he found out Detroit lost. And usually it's about the bottom of the 5th inning in a spring training game when they make wholesale changes.
Yep, exactly.
And it's a good thing, too, because those players that have been sitting watching these last 3 weeks, 4 weeks they've been here in September, they're dying to get out there. So it's really good. And look what they've done. Come from behind, got some big hits. They've shown themselves well. And that's good for the bench players. Dugout won't be as crowded on Tuesday. I'm not sure when they'll have to have their roster set. But there'll be some decisions to make, who's on that roster and who's not.
And as you go from series to series, you can change the roster. It can be reset.
And while this sounds negative, its reality is Ned Yost gets some guys in the game today to get him some swings. The Royals have been blessed with great health this year. I mean, all it takes is a rolled ankle on Tuesday, and the Royals win and advance to Baltimore. And now you're going to need somebody to play every day who probably has played very little lately.
1976, Game 1, Kauffman Stadium against the Yankees. Amos Otis going to first base, hit the bag wrong, turned his ankle, out. That caused Al Cowens to play center. It caused Hal McRae to go to right. Otis was out of that series against the Yankees. Chambliss hits the home run. Whitey Herzog would tell you to this day, had Cowens been in right, who was much taller than Hal McRae, he might have been able to get up over the fence and catch the home run ball that Chambliss hit to put the Royals out of that series. So a blown ankle, Game 1, 1976, could have cost the Royals dearly.
Carroll walks Ibanez. Raul has walked twice since coming into the game.
Who's got a better memory, you or Art Stewart?
Art.
Because
that didn't take long, did it?
No, but I'm riveted on the edge of my seat.
Art is incredible. I'll tell you who else has a fantastic memory. It's Whitey Herzog.
What was it? 2002 would have been the 25-year anniversary of '77, right? My math right there?
I think so.
And you guys had a reunion, and there was a luncheon, and a lot of players from the '77 team were there. You were there. Fred White was there, and just kind of going over the 1977 season. There's Art Stewart in there, part of the celebration, well deserved. And I remember you and everyone just marveling at some of the details. Whitey Herzog, I mean, he remembered pitch sequences from games that weren't even playoff games. It was, you know, it was a game in June that, you know, that really got George going. You know, I mean, we were facing Texas, and I remember it was 2-1, and he fouled out 3 pitches, and he hit a double. And from that point, and George looked at, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, and I did about a 45-minute interview with him in St. Louis a year ago, and he just knocked me cold with some of the stats and some of the facts that he came up with. Well, Terrell was hitting 241 on April the 7th, and he really broke out of it, and then we had a pretty good run from that point on. And so, he is something. Whitey Herzog, one of the best managers in Royals history.
And on that topic, there's George and Art, part of the celebration. Denny, thank you. It's been fun having you on Sundays, and I look forward to working with you on
ball game, all concerts, and even deals on the Chiefs Monday night game versus the Patriots. Tickets for Less has an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and never charges any hidden service fees. Buy all your tickets securely online at ticketsforless.com. And how about this, guys? Royals fans now will be able to enjoy their Chiefs on Monday night, their Royals on Tuesday night. Hud, I don't know about you. I'm going to be at both games.
Better believe it. Count me in. I can't wait to get to the K on Tuesday, man. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It's quiet now. That won't last for very long. The pep rally tomorrow. If you weren't with us last inning, the gates will open at Kauffman Stadium tomorrow at 10:45. A pep rally from 11:30 to 1:30. It's free to the public, so you can come out and watch the Royals take batting practice as they get ready for the wild card game on Tuesday, hoping to advance to play the Angels on Thursday in the division series, and then Monday Night Football, and then the wild card game on Tuesday.
7:07 first pitch Tuesday night.
Liam Hendricks will come on for the bottom of the 7th inning. This will be our last broadcast on Fox Sports Kansas City. And so Tuesday you can watch the game on TBS and or listen to the game on the Royals Radio Network.
Then after the game, we'll all give coverage, switch over to Fox Sports Kansas City. We'll break it down.
Abisail Garcia will lead off.
I would imagine with a win Tuesday night by the Royals, there'll be another celebration.
You're probably right. I would say you are dead on. Way to go out on a limb there. That was.
Hopefully we see a lot of those in the next month.
That was Terrence Gore in left field, and Lane Adams has shifted to center, so Gerard Dyson is out. There's Adams moving over to center field. First hit for Garcia, and he's on to begin the 7th inning.
This team wouldn't be anything like it is had it not been for the great work of head athletic trainer Nick Kinney and his staff. Kyle Turner as assistant. Of course, Dr. Vincent Key, the head team physician. Ryan Stoneberg, strength and conditioning coach. Jeff Blum, a physical therapist. Rick Knopfer. These guys all keep these guys together. And if you saw what they do every day, you would be shocked with the workload those guys have. Taking care of 25, 30 guys on the roster. They do a great job.
Second year in a row, the Royals have had a mostly healthy season, remarkably healthy season. Very few muscle strains and pulls. You know, a lot of the joint injuries, training staff, all they can do is help a guy recover, but a guy rolls an ankle on a base or in the outfield, there's nothing the training staff can do to prevent that, but they can make sure that they are hydrated and stretched out and taking care of themselves and not having nagging muscle injuries. Or been, off the top of my head, I can't think of somebody who had to miss. Well, Omar Infante's had a sore shoulder, but that goes back to spring training before he was with the Royals. I mean, it's been another remarkably healthy season. The training staff won an award last year. They were the best training staff in Major League Baseball.
They were the Major League Training Staff of the Year. The winter meetings last year, they were awarded that. That's one of the reasons Dayton Moore told me this team is so good is because of those guys. They need to get a little love. Way to go, fellas.
Nick Kenny on the left, Jeff Blum on the right. Cody Clark is in his first year as Royals bullpen coach. He spent 11 years in the minor leagues, and a big chunk of that in the Royals minor league system. Made his big league debut last year, playing for the Astros, and he got his first big league hit against Jason Vargas. How about that for a twist? That's down for a hit. Adams cuts it off, and Garcia will be held at third. And the White Sox have runners at first and third with nobody out. So Cody Clark last year got his first big league hit, and then he and Jason Vargas come to the Royals. And Cody, the bullpen catcher, talking to Francisco Pena. And Royals were thrilled to have him rejoin the organization. And you talk about people who deserve to be here and whether they paid their dues or not. Cody Clark paid his dues.
No question. Way to go, young man.
Michael Taylor will bat for Diane Viciedo. We should also mention the Royals former bullpen catcher Bill Duplessis, who is the first replay coordinator this year. And the Royals had a success rate of 63%, which is one of the best in the major leagues. And not only, and Ned Yost talked a lot about him to the media before the game today. That is a fair ball, out at first and out at the plate.
Well, Robin Ventura's not going to like the way Kratz blocked the plate there, but too bad.
So we'll see if we stay at 5-4 Royals as they go take a look at it. But anyway, Bill Duplessis, that is a tough job. I tell you, you look at all the monitors that he has to consider before a replay, and not only do the numbers prove that he is good at what he does, but just watching other teams in replay scenarios. And here's a replay right here, and it appeared he had his left leg blocking the plate. Did he give Garcia a lane? We don't know or not. But we did find out about Bill Duplessis that the Royals were by far one of the fastest teams in making decisions on replay. So congratulations to him. Mark Topping, the Royals video coordinator, longtime Royals video coordinator, going back to the days when he had a stack of VHS players in a closet at Kauffman Stadium and had to shuffle through those, and has ushered the Royals into the digital era. Well, they're going to say that Kratz either did not have his foot in position too soon, or that there was an area for Garcia to slide to the plate.
You know, what Kratz did was a natural reaction for a catcher who's caught a long time. It's hard to get a throw like that, not seeing the runner coming in, for a catcher to not place himself in front of home plate. Nice to see that call stood. But, you know, getting back to Mark Topping, the kind of work that Mark Topping does, the video coordinator, he has to show up at the ballpark when the players get there, which is around noon, 1 o'clock. And this guy, every player, they have all these computers set up in there, and every player wants to see what they've done lately, or they want to see what they did in the past. So Mark Topping,
Pitcher they're facing that night.
Yeah, there's so many things that Mark Topping has to do for these guys to get, you know, the advanced reports, the videos. It's a collective team effort, and the Royals staff deserves all the credit. Great job, guys.
Royals clubhouse crew, which includes Pat Gorman, Chuck Hawk, T-Man, Jake, Tyler, Dante, all the folks who make travel so easy for us, hauling around all the team's equipment, all of our luggage. It is a grueling, grinding travel year, but they certainly smooth out the grind. Danks down on strikes. So the double play was huge, as the White Sox had 2 on, nobody out, but Hendricks pitches a scoreless 7th inning. Outdoors. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler with Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery, Josh Vernier will join us during postgame, with producer Joe Lavero, director Steve Kurtenbach, our associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, Dave Holtzman, and the producer of Royals Live is Brian Shapiro.
Thank you guys for making it a great summer.
Johnny Giavotella singled and scored in his first at bat. There's our guy, Dave Holtzman.
Holtzy, take a bow.
Wave to the family. Wife Carrie, son Will, daughter Julia. Daddy's coming home for a while. Holtzy, the San Diego native and the proud Jayhawk, the younger brother of Bob Holtzman of ESPN, who also went to KU. And when Dave went to go visit his brother, said, you know what, I think I want to go here too. So he is mourning the dismissal of Charlie Weiss and has been all day. No? Okay. Might have been an exaggeration. But Holtzy spent 10 years in the Royals media relations department. And his 10 years were 2004 to part of 2013, so he was not here to witness the Royals being in contention until game number 158 and finishing 10 games above 500. As Giavotella is hit by a pitch. Holtzy left us for a while. He went out to San Diego with the Padres, and we brought him back. We went out to San Diego, we grabbed him by the collar, and we dragged him back to Kansas City, and now our associate producer baseball information. Now he's right up here in the booth, and tell him, Holtzy, I mean, what, 1 o'clock game today, 1:10, but I show up at about 1:09, right, and you just give me all the information, all the stats, all the notes. So there's our brain right there.
Believe that.
And so all those years working for the Royals and rooting for the Royals and following the Royals, and he got to spend time in the clubhouse during the champagne celebration on Friday. So nice job, Holtzy. Now give me something good to say. I can tell you that Christian Colon in his first at bat since coming back from the disabled list, and the Royals are trying to get him back into game shape in Arizona, and apparently it worked because he had a 2-run double in the 6th inning, which tied the game. Then Carlos Peguero singled in Colon, giving the Royals their current 5-4 lead. Our associate producer Al Broughton, who is our graphics producer, 1 ball, 2 strikes. So when a pitcher comes into the game or a hitter comes to the plate, and what we call in the television business a font, any kind of information on that player, his statistics, or how he's done in the game, Holtzy and Al are responsible for putting that information on the screen. Al is responsible for typing that information. Stuff when you're watching a live sporting event that you take for granted that it just appears, but it takes a lot of people, a lot of research, coordination to get that on the air.
They work hard to bring you guys baseball every night.
Sam Abramson, our associate producer, our replay producer. And when this season's over, all he will do is report for his Monday Night Football assignments. So he gets a chance to have a home game for Monday Night Football. But Sammy is an absolute wizard at his job. And so many times we'll be talking to the broadcast and say, remember 3 innings ago when Ventura threw that same pitch? Bam, Sammy finds it, there it is. Or remember 2 months ago when Colon had a triple for his first big league hit in Cleveland? Boom, there it is on the screen. He goes into the archives and gets it on the screen so you can see it in a flash.
Okay, well, let's just put Sammy to a test now. You just explained what he does. Okay. Here's an example. One of the greatest plays we've seen all year long was Escobar in Cleveland, running almost the length of a football field. Not quite as far, but he made that catch. It was a fantastic catch. Is there any chance that we could see that?
Now, of course, we don't like to miss pitches.
Or base hits.
Yeah. Giavotella will hold.
But let's take a look at that.
Look, and then somebody had to bring in that board that said Alcides Escobar. Look at that.
It gets better every time we see it. That's Sam Abramson. Thank you. Magic.
You look at Esky, he's like, are you kidding me? Did Sammy just come up with that?
Now,
wow.
Salvy's going, what about me? Well, how about that home run in Tampa Bay, that big 2-run shot at the end of the game? That was a big blast for the Royals. They needed a home run at that particular time.
See, he doesn't think Sammy can do it. He's saying, no, not that one. Oh, well, sorry, Sal.
All right. Not to be outdone, just talk it fair. Because I came out of my seat on this one.
Away by Nix. See? You
know what's great? These guys are all on the bench supporting those backup players. They're all out there cheering for them.
I think they're having some fun with Alexei Ramirez, who's in the White Sox dugout, another regular player who's not in there.
How about this guy? Mike Jershel. First year as a coach in the big leagues. Congratulations to you, Mike, for how hard you worked the last 11 seasons before this season. He was the manager for the Omaha Storm Chasers. 11 seasons. He led the team to 4 division titles. 3 straight trips to the Pacific Coast League Championship in 11 through 13. 2 PCL titles. A Triple-A championship in 2013. That guy deserved a promotion and got it. Way to persevere. Brian Polberg, congratulations to him. He's taken over and did a fine job. Took that baton from Jershel and continued that great winning tradition there. Way to go, Paulie.
Come down as Nix strikes out. Brian Polberg was telling me before the game today that he's been part of 5 champagne celebrations this year. Rusty Kuntz, one of the great guys in the game, one of the most energetic guys in the game. And Rusty and I, we go way back. He was my dad's first base running and outfield coach in Seattle back in 1989. Gosh, that was 25 years ago.
was Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie year. It was Omar Vizquel's rookie year. And 25 years later, he has the same enthusiasm and the same energy, which seems impossible.
Sure does. He's a huge commodity for this team. The fact that he's got his base runners leading the world in steals this year, again 153. He's great with the runners. He does a fantastic job with outfielders each day before the game. Thank you, Rusty.
The Royals lead 5-4 because of a RBI single by Carlos Peguero in the 6th inning, and now he bats with 2 on, 1 out.
I'd love to see him get a hold of one. He can hit that baseball a long way.
Runners will move up. So no chance for a ground ball in a double play. Giavotella goes to third, and Colon moves up to second base. Bullpen coach Doug Henry in his 2nd year. He finished his playing career with the Royals back in 2001. And look at Johnny Giavotella scoring on a ball that was 5 feet from home plate.
That is taking advantage of your playing time. Look at him up there at third base. This isn't a meaningful game to him. That is just being alert, playing baseball. Way to go, Gio. Look at it. Right on that front foot. Yeah, I can make that.
It's a pass ball on ball 4. And out the score 6-4 in the 8th inning. And Terrence Gore at the plate. White Sox will bring the infield in. We're talking about Doug Henry, Royals bullpen coach. Pitched with the Brewers, the Mets, the Giants, the Astros, finished with the Royals in 2001. He was the minor league pitching coordinator in 2009, and then 3 years as pitching coach at Omaha before joining the Royals last year as the bullpen coach. He's had a lot of fun watching Herrera, Davis, and Holland warm up, come in and close out games.
How about that guy? Interesting how baseball turns the world of baseball. How Ned Yost got fired from the Milwaukee job right there at the end before the Milwaukee Brewers took over, or they went to the postseason. Dale Swain became manager, and now he's on Ned Yost's staff again. Gets to see Ned Yost see his team to the playoffs. Great job by him. Working with the hitters, giving them the vision of pick up the ball, guys. See your pitch. I know you're an aggressive team, but wait for the ball up. Keep it simple. Ouch. That'll slow him down some. Well, what can we say about pitching coach Dave Island? Wow. What a fresh voice he's had in that on those pitchers. Tremendous job working with the mechanics, but more the mindset, especially with the young guys that are on that team. Ventura and Duffy spend a lot of time working on that delicate, gentle, and mental muscle for sure. Nice to see those guys relaxed. Every single game has been meaningful and big, and one-game playoffs. And to see these guys sit next to each other smiling, they deserve this little moment here. Relax. Wilbur Donald Wakamatsu. We call it Walk. Great job, first year bench coach for Ned Yost.
Adams strikes out. 2 down to the 8th inning. As promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game, and the final fan photo is from Julia. Thank you, Julia, and thanks to everybody this year using hashtag KCFanPhoto and sending in their AT&T fan photo of the game.
Yeah, absolutely thankful fans for being a part of our broadcast. There's some of Don Wakamatsu's work. That's right. That's calligraphy that he learned off the internet. Freehands all that. Big help compiling information for Ned. Opposing teams coming to town, scouting reports. Has all that information for the general. He's the assistant general. Great baseball man. Catcher in his day.
It'll be a tough play. And the play is made by Garcia. The Royals add a run. 2 hit batters. A wild pitch, a pass ball, and heads up base running gives the Royals a 2-run lead.
After every playoff game, don't forget to switch over to Fox Sports Kansas City after the games, and Monty, Hud, Brian, and I will break down the action. It's the coverage you'd expect from your home of the Royals, Fox Sports Kansas City. All the different national outlets will do a great job of bringing you those games, but this will be the only place to get extensive Royals coverage. So we encourage you to do that. Look forward to continuing to be the home of the Royals after this game, our final regular season Boulevard Royals Live of the year. So we'll have that coming up. And guys, wanted to mention a little bit about the way things will go as far as playoff rosters, and it is looking like it's going to be Oakland. They are up 2-0 in the 9th inning. So if they win, it'll be, in all likelihood, John Lester versus James Shields. And you mentioned David Holtzman before. He pointed out to me, because we always talk about Lester owning the Royals, he's 7-0 at home against the Royals, mostly Boston and 1 in Oakland. He is 2-3 in his career at Kauffman Stadium. So Holtzy, thanks for finding that nugget for us. But as far as playoff rosters go, they can change round by round. You'll have your 25-man roster, and you may see a different look for this wild card game than you would perhaps for a longer series. Maybe loaded up more with some runners when you don't need all those starting pitchers. So you might see a different look there as we see Tim Collins with the strikeout to lead off the inning. Yes, Josh Vegley has finally been retired. So it'll be interesting to see the look. And one other thing worth pointing out, guys, is players that are eligible for the postseason roster had to have been on the 40-man roster as of the end of August 31st, or essentially the end of that night. The only guy that you would think of that wasn't there at that point was Brandon Finnegan. But if anybody is on the disabled list, you can pull them off and replace them with a player that was in your organization. Luke Hochevar, then, who has been on the disabled list, can be replaced by Brandon Finnegan. That's what we expect to happen with that.
And we'll find out tomorrow what that playoff roster looks like. On the topic of Dave Holtzman, and on the topic of 1985, and on the topic of possibly facing John Lester on Tuesday, and fans are thinking, oh, great, John Lester? I mean, anybody but John Lester. In 1985, Villanova, if you follow college basketball, Villanova lost to Georgetown 3 times. Then they beat Georgetown for the national championship. The Royals have lost to John Lester 3 times this year. And it looks like they're going to get a chance to face him in the postseason. The Major League All-Star game in 1985 was played in Minnesota. The All-Star game this year was in Minnesota. So maybe
I hear where you're going.
Everything is lined up for the Royals to finally beat John Lester in the postseason.
You're pumping me up, Rhino. Holtzy, way to throw some positive vibes toward our way here. That's right. I mentioned that I haven't played in a playoff game like that myself. There's no riveting. How do you get ready for that? You keep it the same as you would every other day. Low key, slow the game down. For these Royals, they're not going to do anything different than they've been doing out here lately. Just keep pressuring and just win. A chopper over the head of the pitcher for the Royals is a rally. Steal second base, score on a doinker. 1-0, game over. That back into that bullpen, and all hands will be on deck. With Duffy last night just throwing 63 pitches, Ventura just 73 this afternoon, there'll be plenty of available arms on Tuesday. Just get a lead. I'll miss broadcasting that game with you, Ryan.
You'll enjoy watching it, though.
No question.
Down as Sanchez pops out. Our Toyota League leaders for today. Fewest home runs allowed by American League bullpens. Royals had the fewest, 4 fewer than Seattle. And the Royals bullpen, especially the last 3, the big 3, and some referring to now as HDH, Herrera, Davis, Holland. Those 3 have allowed the fewest just about everything. Pick the category: runs, hits, home runs.
What was Holsey calling them? The Nasty Boys 2? The new Nasty Boys.
We'll see how things finish, and maybe Greg Holland will have a chance to close the game out. And if he can keep his ERA under 1.5, it would be the first time in Major League history that the Royals or any team would have 3 relievers with ERAs under 1.5 with 60 appearances or more. So this is, when you say, you know, this is one of the best bullpens in Major League history, well, that's what the numbers will tell you. It's as much fact as it is opinion.
And that's one of the reasons why the Royals could go all the way. Nice pitch.
Tim Collins has a scoreless 8th inning, and we head to the 9th. The Royals lead by 2 in Chicago. Tigers have won their 4th consecutive Central Division title. They beat Minnesota 3-0 behind the pitching of David Price. Ian Kinsler drove in a couple of runs. Oakland on the edge of beating Texas. If they do, the A's are in. Seattle only hangs in there, and they faced elimination last night but won in walk-off fashion. They need Oakland to lose, and Seattle needs to win. And then the Orioles beating Baltimore 1-0. We've been going through the Royals traveling party and coaching staff, support staff. Of course, there's Pedro Grifol, who is now the Royals catching coordinator. And we go back to the end of May when the Royals made a switch. Ned Yost named Dale Swaim as hitting coach. Dale Swaim was third base coach, so he came into the dugout to be hitting coach. That opened up an opportunity for Mike Jerschele, and then Pedro Grifol. His title is catching coordinator, but he is like a second bench coach for Ned Yost. And sometimes Ned will say when their game was on the line that he was talking to Don Wakamatsu. Sometimes Ned will say he was talking to Pedro. And the Royals were thrilled that when Dale Swaim took over as hitting coach, that Pedro was interested in staying with the coaching staff, and a very valuable member of the coaching staff. Future bench coach someday, by title, future manager someday. Former player, former catcher, bilingual, played at a great college program, Florida State. The possibilities are endless for Pedro Grifol, and I hope he's here for a while.
Yeah, Rhino, you played against him in college.
Yeah, he ruined my shoulder.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Oh, we talked about that a while back.
Yep. I got a 5-inch scar to prove it.
Really?
Yeah.
You ever remind him of that?
Oh yeah. When I first met him, I showed him the scar. It's
a battle wound.
1991. Florida State was #1 in the nation, and here we are, a bunch of pale white pasty kids from the University of Minnesota. We hadn't been in the sun for several months, and we opened our season at Florida State against the #1 Seminoles. Now in those days they didn't have the schedule restrictions, so they had played like 16 games already, all at home, and here we are coming to play them. And first inning of the first game of the season, got on base. I stole a base on Pedro, by the way. I left that part out of the story when I talked to him. I'm trying to show respect. But
no, you got it.
Got on base, stole second, went to third on a ground ball, and I'm at third base. #1 team in the nation. Hey, this is going to be a great season. I'm on third. Brent Gates is at the plate, who would go on to have a long major league career. I'm going to score a run in the first inning of the first game of the season at Florida State. The pitch comes in, and Pedro Grifol, the catcher, comes up thrown. And I dove back into third base and hit the bag with my right arm awkwardly and separated my shoulder. Dislocated it. Well, it's called a sublux, which is like a dislocation, but it didn't stay out. And eventually had to have surgery. I blew out my right shoulder because of Pedro Grifol. So he owes me.
Good story.
Yep. And that's about the reaction he had when I told him too. Well, you had a big lead. You stole a base on me.
That's right.
Trying to get you out. What do I care? Rats down on strikes. 2 down in the 9th inning. It is now 4-0 A's, as they have scored 2 runs in the top of the 9th inning. So Seattle, they're ahead 4-0, but unless Texas extends that game beyond the 9th, Seattle could win 72-0, and it won't matter. They need Oakland to lose. How about Johnny Giavotella today? He's gotten into very few games since he's been called up. He's had very few at bats, but it seems like every time he comes to the plate, he gets on. And he was hit by a pitch in the 8th inning. Went to third on a wild pitch. He scored on a pass ball that was inside the left-hand batter's side of the batter's box. It wasn't a ball that rolled far away from home plate. I mean, it was right there. Fegley couldn't find it, and Giavotella scored.
I think he'll tell you his highlight of the year, though, was getting a base hit off of Verlander. Verlander at the K, and that's when the Tigers had a big lead. I think it was 10-0 or something. And he tagged up and went to third on a fly ball. That didn't make Verlander very happy. And then he scored, broke up his shutout. And as Verlander walked off the mound, he looked over at Giavotella, and Giavotella looked right back at him. Said, "Yeah, I'm here to beat you." No one has ever questioned his determination, his work habits, the way he works, how hard out there, and how tough it is to crack the big league roster and to stay. But he runs the ball out anyway. I like that.
Easy guy to pull for. It'll be Coleman to try and close this one out. The Royals lead 6-4 to the bottom of the 9th. been fun to watch. Kelvin Herrera, Wade Davis, Greg Holland, Lewis Coleman. Going to try and pick up the save and allow those three to rest as the Royals lead 6-4. And Coleman did a nice job last night after Danny Duffy had to come out after 2+ innings. Coleman pitched 2 scoreless innings with a couple of strikeouts.
Coleman, he's feeling really good. Getting more two-seam movement down in the zone. Good slider working good across that zone. Finishing strong.
And a strikeout on 4 pitches. Coleman does have a major league save. Got that save back in 2011. Garcia's 1 for 4. Coleman got that save at Yankee Stadium back in 2011 in an 11-inning game. The Royals won that series, and it was their first winning series at Yankee Stadium in 11 years.
You know, Ryan, I gotta say that I've really enjoyed working with you the last 3 years. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about broadcasting, a lot about the Royals. I really appreciate your partnership up here, bud. We've had a good time. Got to get to know your family this year. You know, best of luck with you and Sarah. You got a new baby coming as well to go with your other 3 beautiful children you have, and got to meet your family in Arizona. I really do appreciate working with you.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a crazy year, hasn't it, with ups and downs, and are they going to make it to the playoffs? Are they not going to make it to the playoffs? They're in first place. They're in second place. And here we are, getting ready to watch this team go into the playoffs. I appreciate you saying that.
I mean, it's been an incredible seat for me.
Be working the post games on Fox Sports Kansas City following the national broadcast, as Garcia's down on strikes, and the Royals are 1 out away from putting an end to the regular season. So look forward to working with you, Joel and Monty, on Fox Sports Kansas City when the networks go off the air. If you're watching the games on TV, forget to tune things over to Fox Sports Kansas City, and we'll have Boulevard Royals live.
Yeah. I can't even wait.
But likewise to you too. Enjoy your off season. Get home and help out Jennifer around the house.
I'll become the head grunt worker, grunt runner.
Alyssa at KU and Cade and Will and David. This will be what, your 3rd off season or 2nd off season? 2nd full off season.
Second
right?
full, yeah.
We
We
had
had
a season in Kansas City.
Yeah, we got here in January 12. And it's been a wonderful move for the family, in case anybody cares. We love it. Kids love their schools. That ball's going foul. Love the energy of the people. After Dan Glass came in the broadcast booth, the last game with us, Ryan, in 2012, David Glass was with us. And he talked about supplying Dayton Moore with the resources necessary to get a pitching staff in here to go with the nucleus of the everyday players so that they can turn the environment from losing to winning. And it was a positive vibe. And the next day, driving to the airport here in Kansas City, I listened to the radio stations, and they're all saying, "Man, did you hear Mr. Glass? Did you hear him? We're going to get some pitching. We're going to win." And I went home off the plane that day. That's going to split the gap.
And go all the way to the fence. And Wilkins thought about going for 3, and he'll hold with a double.
So anyway, I went home that day, got off the airplane, went home to my wife Jennifer, and I said, "Honey, can we move there? Will you find a realtor?" She goes, "Well, man, we're really comfortable out here, and this is the home of my dreams, really." I said, "Yeah, but honey, they're going to win in Kansas City. We got to go. Can you call the realtor?" She says, "All right." Call the realtor. I sent her out to Kansas City to look for a place. And she found a place, and a buyer came right away. It's been beautiful.
Strike 2, Michael Taylor. Mike Swanson, Royals Vice President of Communications, Media Relations. We need to thank him. Mike Cummings, his assistant, Colby Curry, Dina Blevins, Media Relations Department, taking good care of us.
Thank you, Dina.
Making sure we are informed. And getting back to your conversation, or the conversation we had with Mr. Glass, the Royals were going to improve the pitching. He said at the end of the 2012 season, the Royals went from 10th in the league to 1st in the league in pitching. They finished last year 10 games above 500. And now they are 1 out away from heading back to Kansas City and playing a postseason game there for the first time in 29 years. Out away from their 89th win of the year. And now 1 strike away from their 89th win. Hoping to finish 16 games above 500.
They were 10 over last year.
Strike away from coming home. Lewis Coleman closes it out. The regular season is over. And Kansas City, here we come.
There you go, Ned. I wonder who Joel's going to have on his post-game show. Maybe that man. Swanee's talking to him right now probably about that. He's saying, "Me? They want me." One thing that we're looking forward to on Tuesday, a blue October. Believe it.